bro, somebody else is going to be sitting in Tommy Moffitt's office.
All right, so
that's wild.
So a lot has been said from former players about the Tommy Moffitt situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all been super respect, obviously.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. We all love Tommy Moffitt to death.
Yeah.
But I feel like nobody's really kind of just gone out there and said that, as a former player, like, this really pisses me off. And this, in my opinion, is a bad move. Like, that's...
There's been some. I mean, there has been some.
Especially the timing of that move.
Yeah.
The first thing that's announced, at least, maybe not the first move, is Tommy Moffitt's not being retained. Like, a heart and soul of the LSU, a guy that is the furthest away from the problem, right? And I don't know. I think as many players as I've talked to since that happened, it pisses us off.
Yeah, I mean,
and now we all want to look at it with like rose-colored sunglasses. It's like, okay, that's great because we got to make moves. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then you see the video that Moffitt's packing up cardboard boxes on a random Monday afternoon and leaving. Bro. That pissed me off even more. Yeah. It's like,
I didn't watch it.
Not all guys are equal. Like Moffitt would like probably punch me for like trying to say this. Moffitt should have been able to, like, if you don't want to retain him, that's fine. That's Brian Kelly's. That's his prerogative. He has every right to just take everybody out and put all new people in there. And we want change. We want to get better, right? But Moffitt should have been allowed to just say, I'm not staying. You know, this is the end of the road for me. It's in a different situation.
It's weird. And I'm kind of with you because, like, I guess I've struggled with it because I have so much personal bias because, I mean, I've said it a million times. It's literally my favorite coach I've ever had in my entire life. So, like, of course, I want him to stay.
And we're not playing favorites just because we love the guy from a human being standpoint. He's a great coach.
No, he's objectively great at his job. Yeah, he is objectively great at his job. And his resume and the interest in him and the people, you know, Nick Saban trying to hire him away at every turn. Yeah. I think reinforces all of that.
And what I'm saying is very opinion-based based on the fact that, like, I think it was a bad move to not retain Tommy Moffitt. That's opinion-based, okay? That's my opinion. That is probably 99.9% of every player that ever played for him.
Yeah.
That's opinion because Brian Kelly's right. And I hope the strength coach he brings in is incredible and is cutting edge, blah, 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 and does a great job. And I'm sure he will, and I will cheer my ass off for him. But in my opinion, it is fact that the way it happened was not right.
It's going to be, I mean, bruh, Jacob Flynn is, you want to talk about filling shoes? It's his first time ever being the director of a department, too. Now, he's been head strength conditioning coordinator up there at Notre Dame, but this is his first time being the guy, and he has to follow in the biggest the guy shoes that I could imagine. As we said the other day, that packing up video was so surreal because literally he's the only person that has ever occupied that office. Mm-hmm. That building was built in a lot of ways on the foundation of the work that he put in. I've always said I think he's the he's the X factor behind the golden age of LSU football. And now Flint is stepping into an office again that literally no other human being has ever occupied. And how weird being on the team right now. And then all of a sudden a new voice is there trying to
and I want to
get you motivated.
At some point, and it's probably the same right now, you looked around the SEC and every head strength coach was an assistant Tommy Moffitt strength coach.
Yeah.
In the SEC.
Yeah.
And at Baylor. Just one of the big
Baylor.
So I will say this. I understand what you're saying because obviously me personally, I would have never made this move. Again, you know, I'm obviously biased in this because I love the man. But then I also do agree with what you're saying that, like, it is Brian Kelly's decision to make. You bring in that CEO to make these sort of choices. And this really does feel like for the first time since Saban, Matt, and you could speak to this, y'all can because y'all were there more back then. But this does feel like for the first time since Saban that we are entering a true a true shift into the next era of LSU football. Like Saban to Miles, somewhat. Miles to Ogeron, really almost no change. Shocking. You know, the results did, but like in terms of personnel, almost no change. It almost, and I hope this is not the case. I hope it's just because he thinks Flynn's an absolute monster and Flynn's going to be there for like 5-10 years or whatever. But it almost feels like, not principle, what am I looking for? It almost feels like making almost like a direct commentary on that, like, okay, we are closing the door on the old and we are really going to start fresh and start anew. And that can go wrong. That can absolutely go wrong. That can be flawed logic if that is the logic. But that's the feeling that I got when that's one of the first moves that you make.
And we want him to come in and be that CEO. And look, I'm going to be the biggest Brian Kelly cheerleader in the world. Like I'm LSU through and through.
Yeah.
I think it was a great hire. I just think that look around and read the room a little bit better on that early.
I mean, the current players were really upset, foreign players, all that. So it's just so it's a very powerful voice and one that could have been a great ally and that was a bit excited for maybe potentially working with Kelly. But it is what it is. Man, that packing up video was surreal.
Yeah, it was. I watched it one time and I was so mad.
It is crazy.
I hadn't seen it yet. Like I said, I don't think I want to.
That's the thing. It's like, it's just a visual of seeing him being forced to leave as opposed to leaving on his own. Is just, I can't really wrap my head around it.
It was
and then you know, I also think that Coach Moffitt caught a lot of unintended flack for some perceived weaknesses on LSU teams. The craziest are when I see him being blamed for injuries. Like, that's just, whatever. That's just stupid. There's no point really engaging with that. But, like, when I see, like, well, why has LSU been so weak on the lines? Well, look, man. I actually think that Liam Shanahan has maximized his physical talents and then some, and he got way better as the year went on this year and actually had a good year by the end, or at least the latter half. But that said, Liam Shanahan could do all the same workouts that Lloyd Cushenberry did, and he's not going to be Lloyd, right? At a certain point, Moffitt works with the tools that he is.
And by the way, like I've played with a lot of really good offensive linemen that can't bench more than 315.
Yeah. Strength is not really always a predecessor to success at O-line anyway. So look, I know it's kind of a downer way to start for sure, this flustering, but I think I think that's exactly why we do this with us three, is to get this sort of perspective. And as you can see, this speaks to Matt's point. Look at the impact that man made on all of us, right? Yeah. To a man. Everybody talks about him. So, Jacob Flynn, good luck, bro. Good luck. You got some big old shoes to fill.
And we are cheering for you.
I don't want him to fail. I don't want him to fail at all. I hope he's awesome. I hope he's the next transcendent character.
I hope I can go in there and he can get me back into working out, because I've been taking off for a couple of years.
So it is a very unique situation because you've had so much success with the same people. We're not talking about just assistant football coaches. We're talking about the entire department. Like, think about it. You had the same training staff, basically. You had the same equipment staff. You had the same weight staff. You've got a lot of the same,
It's very unique.
Yeah, Doug, that's still the same video. So you have everyone still the same, and you've been successful. Yeah. You've won 3 natties with 3 different coaches. These coaches saw the value. Eventually, and that's what I put out in my tweet about Coach Moffitt. Look, I knew eventually this was going to happen. It doesn't make it any easier, but I knew eventually it was going to happen, and eventually some of the people that we know and talk to in that building aren't going to be there anymore. And because you've had so much success with those people, and I got to campus in 2004, almost 18 years with these people. So obviously it's always going to be a transition. It was always going to be as difficult as it is, just because you just don't see that in college football. Staff members last through 3 different head coaches.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, it's very unique and it made LSU, those people for a long time made it very special. And everything's got to end up and break and there's change and carryovers, and it's just, in my opinion, it was not the right way for it. But what is the right way? I don't know. But it's,